Making a New Year's wish landed me in the hospital. Half-conscious, I mistook the doctor for a nightclub model and even pulled out $800, asking the gorgeous doctor to let me touch her thigh. The stunning doctor, however, kept a straight face, pulled out her phone, and called the psych ward to come pick me up. But when I was discharged and went to a bar to hire a model, the same gorgeous doctor got upset and said, "Sincere, my consultation fee is only $60. You can do whatever you want." I simply smiled and replied, "Cheap things are never good." I had heard that if you ate 12 grapes and made a wish during the final 12 seconds of the New Year countdown, your wish would come true. So, after my shift ended, I rushed to a nearby grocery store. "Boss, I need a bunch of grapes," I exclaimed. The grocer picked up a bunch of green seedless grapes and asked, "How about these?" They just came in. Glancing at my phone, which read 11:55 p.m., I had no time to consider grape quality. Yes, those are fine. Please wash them quickly," I urged. After paying, I grabbed the grapes and, ignoring the grocer's puzzled stare, crouched under a table. Carefully, I counted out 12 grapes. With the countdown timer on my phone set, I waited. When there were 12 seconds left, I started shoving the grapes into my mouth, fervently wishing good health, a promotion and raise, and a girlfriend with a perfect 36D figure. Better than any model. But with 5 seconds remaining, I still had grapes in my mouth and more in the bowl. "Hurry up, eat sincere. I need to live. I need the model." Grabbing the remaining grapes, I stuffed them into my mouth and tried desperately to swallow. It felt like my throat was doing crunches to push everything down in those few seconds. Finally, I forced one huge gulp and got completely choked. I couldn't breathe. Stumbling to my feet, I pounded my chest and stumbled toward the grocer for help. Seeing me hitting my chest, the grocer chuckled, his eyes crinkling in amusement. "Kid, these grapes must be delicious, but there's no need to beat yourself up over them." I glared at him, pointed at my throat, and shook my hand desperately. He seemed to catch on or not. He mimicked my hand motions and said, "Happy New Year." "Happy New Year?" I was about to die in front of him, and all he could say was, "Happy New Year?" It wasn't until my face turned purple that the grocer realized I was choking. He performed the Heimlich maneuver, and suddenly I was like a human pea shooter, spitting out grapes one by one. Gasping for air, I managed to croak, "Thank you, boss." But as I caught my breath, a horrifying realization hit me. I wasn't just spitting out grapes. I was spitting out my wishes. My vision swam, and I blacked out. When I came to, my head was spinning. As I opened my eyes, I saw a woman in a white coat standing in front of me. Her features were delicate, her gaze gentle, and her eyes behind gold-rimmed glasses were clear and bright. Most importantly, her figure was stunning. A perfect 36D weight. Wasn't I dead? Was this some angel in heaven? Or maybe a final wish escort in some afterlife care program? Whatever it was, I decided to make the most of it. I reached for her hand and said, "Hey, beautiful, want to go out with me? I make $3,000 a month." Her brows furrowed, and she pulled her hand away. I quickly tried to salvage the situation. Okay, $800. Just let me touch your thigh." Her face flushed bright red as she turned to leave, but I grabbed the hem of her coat. "Please," I begged. "I've never dated a woman as beautiful as you in my life." She looked utterly exasperated. Just as I was figuring out how to persist, 2 strong hands grabbed me. I turned to see a chubby nurse pulling me away. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't shake her off. Annoyed, I snapped, "You? You're not worth more than $200. She rolled her eyes and said, "Sir, calm down. This is a hospital, not some." Strange place. I froze, finally looking around and realizing I was indeed in a hospital. I squeezed my eyes shut, praying this was all a hallucination. Could I still die now? Before I could explain myself, the beautiful doctor spoke coldly. "If he doesn't calm down, sedate him and send him to the psych ward." "Understood, Dr. Vicky," the nurse replied. I was speechless. Later, during Dr. Vicky's break, I rushed into her office before she could react. Bowing deeply, I blurted out, Dr. Vicky, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have coveted your body. Dr. Vicky, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have mistaken you for a nightclub model. Dr. Vicky, I'm sorry. I like you. Wait, what? My hands shot to my mouth as my face burned. Did I just say that out loud? Dr. Vicky's ears turned a soft pink. She bit her lip and said, all right, any more apologies, and I'll have to admit myself to the psych ward. My embarrassment was so intense I could have built a fantasy castle with my toes. Ready to flee, I was stopped once again. Turning back with a glimmer of hope, I heard her say, sincere, first go pay your bill. Taking the paper from her, my eyes widened at the amount. $800? I mumbled under my breath. That's enough to hire. One time Victoria accused me of spending money recklessly, saying, so you can spend $800 on a model, but you think $800 is too much to save your life? Her tone turned colder, clearly sensitive to the figure. I quickly stammered, no, it's not expensive. Not at all. Honestly, it's quite reasonable. In truth, Victoria was far more beautiful than any of those models. I shuffled back to the hospital room, an idea suddenly striking me. I opened the Tarot Masters app on my phone and transferred $188, messaging him. I want to know about my love fortune this time. The master responded immediately, as usual. Following the usual process, I silently meditated on my connection with Victoria while selecting 3 cards. Nervously, I watched the typing indicator on the chat. Soon the reply came, you and this woman share a bond spanning 3 lifetimes. Your energies are highly compatible. The better your relationship, the more prosperous your finances and career will be. Conversely, if things go poorly, you might face financial losses and bad luck. Panicking, I retracted my smug grin and immediately sought the master's advice. What should I do? I asked. He replied, sincerity can move mountains. I had an epiphany. Apologizing and groveling were small prices to pay. For money and for such a stunning woman, I was willing to go all in. Last night, I spent hours researching strategies, staying up until dawn. With dark circles under my eyes, I ran into Victoria during her morning rounds. She frowned slightly, glancing at the report in her hands, and asked, sincere, did you not sleep last night? Are you feeling unwell? I pulled the blanket over my head and cheekily replied, I couldn't sleep because I was thinking about you. Victoria was speechless, her gaze turning evasive. From the next bed, an elderly woman chuckled and said, oh, so this young man is Dr. Vicky's boyfriend? You two make a lovely couple. No, Victoria quickly denied. I chimed in, not yet, but soon. Dr. Vicky, would you like to date me? Victoria didn't respond. She practically fled the room, as if her feet were on fire. But how could I give up so easily? I made it a point to show up in front of her whenever I could. Dr. Vicky, want to grab a meal together? No response. That's fine, I'm even more smitten. Today you ignore me, tomorrow I'll still be here. The faster she walked, the redder her face became. Eventually she snapped, clearly frustrated. Sincere, what exactly do you want? Thick-skinned, I leaned in and said, I want to date you. No, she replied. Come on, please. I begged shamelessly. No. To avoid me, Victoria stayed in her office all day. I, not wanting to disturb other patients, could only linger by her office door, pining for her. I couldn't help but admire her perfection. When she wasn't talking, she exuded an icy elegance. But the moment she interacted with patients, she transformed into someone extraordinarily gentle. How could someone be so perfect? Even her hands were a work of art. As I marveled at her delicate fingers, someone nearby commented, her hands being beautiful is the least impressive thing about Dr. Vicky. I turned to see the plump female doctor I had once dismissed as worth $200. Why do you say that? I asked, genuinely curious. She tilted her chin towards the crowd of patients carrying large bags and said, these people travel from far and wide just to have Dr. Vicky treat them. There are surgeries in this hospital only she can perform. Wow. The more I learned about Victoria, the more I liked her. At 1 p.m. sharp, I went to remind her to eat. She often forgot to eat when engrossed in work, so I took it upon myself to care for my future girlfriend's health. But when I reached her office, it was empty. Strange. Did she step out? As I searched around, I heard distant arguing. Suddenly, a nurse stumbled toward the nurse's station, her hands trembling uncontrollably. She cried out, "Security! Security! Get to the second floor, quick!" Her voice cracked with panic. I rushed over, asking urgently, "What's going on?" She gasped, Dr. Vicky is." My heart clenched. Before she could finish, I sprinted toward the stairs. The closer I got to the second floor, the louder the shouting became, and the more uneasy I felt. The second floor atrium was packed with people. In the center of the crowd, Victoria was facing off against a man wielding a knife. She spoke softly, trying to calm him down. "Please, sir, take a deep breath and let's talk this through." The man shouted angrily, "Talk! You said my wife was fine. Why did she die less than a month after coming home? You quacks." A female doctor stepped forward, explaining, "Your wife hadn't fully recovered yet. It was the family's decision to discharge her early." The man grabbed the doctor, yelling, "What good is saying that now? She's dead. I want someone to pay with their life." He raised his knife, ready to strike. In the blink of an eye, Victoria pulled the doctor aside, narrowly avoiding the blade. But to my horror, the other doctor, either out of fear or clumsiness, pushed Victoria toward the attacker. Seeing the man raise his knife again, this time aiming at Victoria, I didn't hesitate. Bursting through the crowd, I charged at him. My sudden appearance startled him, but he quickly swung the knife at me. Pain seared through my arm as security guards tackled him to the ground. Victoria's eyes filled with tears as she shouted, "Sincere, are you out of your mind? Do you have any idea how dangerous that was?" Her hands pressed firmly against my wound, but my mind was blank. My legs beginning to give out. Taking advantage of the moment, I could still feel pain as I shakily confessed, "Doctor, Vicky, after I die, could you please burn a paper model of a 36D lingerie model for me?" Victoria looked speechless. With one hand pressing on my wound and the other covering my mouth, she snapped, "Stop talking." "Ouch, ouch, ouch." "Doctor, be gentle," I wailed loudly. With a stern expression, Victoria said, "Good, you know it hurts. Just moments ago, you were acting like you didn't care about your life." I grabbed her hand weakly and tried to flatter her. I just knew that if your hand got hurt, who knows how many people would lose their hope. Her fingers trembled slightly, and the tension on her face finally softened a bit. "Even so, you shouldn't," she began. "Come on," I interrupted. "A fortune teller once told me I'd live to be 100. Consider today's incident as me earning some good karma." I forced a grin, but the pain from the wound made me wince. "Superstitious nonsense," she muttered, exasperated. "Next time you face danger, just stay out of it." Got it, I replied with a pout. "But I saved your life after all. Why so fierce? Can't you be a little gentler?" She sighed, then held my hand in return. Feeling the warmth of her touch, my heartbeat quickened. "All right, you two, that's enough." The elderly doctor stitching me up cleared his throat, chuckling as he shook his head. "If you want to flirt, do it somewhere else." Embarrassed, Victoria stuck her tongue out but didn't let go of my hand. "Thank you, Professor," she said softly. The elderly doctor adjusted his glasses and gave me a thorough once-over before nodding approvingly. "You've got a good boyfriend here. Treat him well." Her face flushed scarlet, all the way to her neck. She reflexively tightened her grip on my hand and stammered, "Professor, he's not. I mean, we're not." I offered the elderly doctor a grateful smile and said, "Thank you, sir." As we walked to the door, the elderly doctor called after Victoria, "Oh, and don't forget to give him a tetanus shot." Fingers intertwined with hers, I thought about how this was yet another opportunity for some close contact. But as soon as I followed Victoria into the treatment room, I regretted it. "Take off your pants," she commanded. What the hell? I never imagined Victoria's first time seeing my butt would be for a shot. Damn it, why didn't anyone tell me tetanus shots go in the butt? Thanks to my heroic deeds and Victoria's indulgence in letting me spread rumors, now all the nurses and patients knew me as Victoria's future boyfriend. "Dr. Vicky's boyfriend is here again," a familiar patient greeted me. I nodded back with a smile. Victoria overheard and turned crimson. "Sincere, this isn't right," she scolded. "What's wrong?" I asked, puzzled. "You don't like it?" She hesitated, avoiding my gaze. "It's not that. I'm just worried it might cause you some trouble." Her voice trembled slightly, betraying her nerves. The more flustered she got, the more I enjoyed teasing her. "Well then, there's no problem. I'm perfectly fine with it." She nodded. "All right." I leaned in closer, causing her ears to flush even redder. She quickly stepped back and said, "Sincere, you're ready for discharge. Let's keep in touch through text about anything else." I was dumbfounded. Just 2 days ago we were holding hands tightly, and now? What happened? My world crumbled. While packing my things, I vented to my buddy Charlie. "Victoria went so far as to expedite my discharge report just to avoid me. Do you think she doesn't like me anymore?" Charlie teased. "A woman like her isn't easy to win over. Plus, she never admitted to liking you in the first place. So tell me, how did you even fall for her?" After thinking for a moment, I replied, "If I'm being honest, it started as lust at first sight. But the main reason is that a fortune teller said we're destined to be together for 3 lifetimes. I have to win her over." Charlie jumped up, pointing at me indignantly. "Sincere, you didn't go give that scam artist more money, did you?" I stayed silent, pretending to be busy. Charlie smacked me on the head. "Have you forgotten? Your ex was the reason you went to that fraud in the first place." I muttered under my breath. "That girl was bad for my finances. Breaking up was the right move." "So, you're saying you fell for Dr. Vicky because of some con artist words?" he asked. "Pretty much," I admitted. In truth, while my initial attraction to Victoria was superficial, if it hadn't been for the fortune teller's words, I wouldn't have been so persistent. I wouldn't have discovered how genuinely captivating she is. To stop Charlie's nagging, I hastily finished packing. As I looked up, I caught a glimpse of a white figure flashing past the door. Could it be Victoria coming to see me off? I rushed to the door, scanning around only to return disappointed. She had told me to leave. Why would she come to see me off? Still unwilling to give up, I hurried to Victoria's office. Since it wasn't yet her consultation hours, I squatted at her door, refusing to leave. After my legs had gone numb, a gentle voice spoke from behind me. "Excuse me, could you wait a moment?" I turned around in surprise, locking eyes with Victoria. "Dr. Vicky," I exclaimed. "Ow." I hurriedly tried to get up, but my legs felt like they were filled with popping candy, completely numb and unresponsive. I gritted my teeth and tried to walk forward, only to twist my ankle and stumble straight toward Victoria. She froze, instinctively trying to move aside. If she dodged, I was bound to hit the ground face first. Without thinking, I reached out, grabbed her waist, and ended up clinging to her. Her waist, so slender, my hand unintentionally slid lower. Those abs. Being her boyfriend would be a blessing. Without realizing it, I blurted out, "Nice waist." Victoria pushed me off her face flushed crimson. "Sincere," she exclaimed. I stammered, unsure how to explain, and resorted to repeatedly bowing and apologizing. The door to the clinic slammed shut with a bang, startling me. Why was she so mad? I cautiously opened the door, only to be cut off by Victoria's icy voice. She reprimanded me. "Sincere, the hospital is not a place for jokes. If you're not sick, stop wasting our resources." Feeling awkward, I muttered, "I'm not joking, I just—" But her tone grew even colder. "I'm a doctor. I don't believe in superstitions, and I'm not interested in dating. Please stop bothering me, I don't like you at all." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I bit my lip, a wave of bitterness welling up inside. If she didn't like me, fine, but did she have to be so harsh? She continued, "You're already recovered. Please leave." She was kicking me out again. I just wanted to say goodbye properly, but the words got stuck in my throat. Swallowing my emotions, I turned and left. Later, I poured my heart out to Charlie, sobbing. She said she doesn't like me. Hearing my plight, Charlie slammed his hand on the table and declared, "So what if she's a doctor? Tonight, I'm taking you to a bar. I'll set you up with a whole lineup, models, nurses, flight attendants, take your pick." I sighed. I don't want models. I only like Victoria. My eyes felt empty as I mindlessly drowned myself in drinks. Then I heard Charlie exclaim, "Whoa! When did someone this stunning show up?" I followed his gaze and saw someone who looked strikingly like Victoria, standing there with a stern expression. Murmuring, "Gorgeous doctor," I stumbled toward her, my head spinning, and grinned foolishly. "Victoria, are you moonlighting? I'd like to book you." No, wait, Victoria must be busy saving lives. How could she be moonlighting? This model did look like her, though. But why did her face look so angry? "Why aren't you saying anything?" "Do you hate me too?" I asked, feeling annoyed as I gave her a slight nudge. Then she said, "Sincere, I don't hate you." Her voice, so familiar. I looked closer at her face and my mind went blank. Could it really be Victoria? I asked earnestly, "Victoria, did you get fired from the hospital?" She replied coolly, "I'm off duty today." Her eyes darted toward the women in the booth. "Sincere, you spent $800 on that model. What exactly can she do for you?" she asked. I counted on my fingers. Chat, drink, play games. She rolled her eyes. "That's it?" I didn't understand what she meant. She continued, "I heard $800 includes thigh touching. That's an extra charge," I clarified. Victoria bit her lip. "So you paid extra?" "Sincere, my consultation fee is only $60. You could have done whatever you wanted with me for way less." Without hesitation, I exclaimed, "Then let's go back right now." I wrapped my arm around her shoulder, said goodbye to Charlie, and practically dragged her out. I couldn't let her escape. It felt like a dream. I hadn't eaten in my last dream. This time I had to seize the moment. "Your payment code," I said. Victoria looked confused. Was she trying to back out? "Hurry, your payment code," I demanded. When she didn't move, I drunkenly reached for her bag. My hand slipped inside, and I touched something. Victoria froze and grabbed my hand. "Sincere, I'll get it. Let go," she said, her voice trembling. "No way. I'll feel better taking it myself," I insisted, thinking she was trying to back out. As I rummaged further, I muttered, "Victoria, why do you have such a big bun in here?" She bit her lip and said, "Sincere, take your hand out. That's not a bun." Victoria desperately tried to pull my hand out. I was incredulous. "Liar, if it's not a bun, what is it?" Then my eyes widened as realization hit me. Victoria's face turned beet red. My brain short-circuited and the alcohol buzz dissipated. Rubbing my temples, I mumbled, "Ugh, my head hurts," and played dead. When we got home, I bolted. Lying in bed, my heart raced. Closing my eyes, vivid and risque images flooded my mind. Tonight's dream, I eaten. The next morning, I murmured, "Morning, Dr. Vicky. I like you a little more today." But when I opened my eyes, I was still at home. The memories of last night made my face heat up. Holy crap, was that not a dream? I called Charlie to confirm if I had left with Victoria. When he said yes, I was overjoyed. Just as I hung up, I received a message from Victoria. "Is your head still spinning? Don't let your wound get wet. Stick to a light diet. If you can't get an appointment with your doctor, call me instead." Wait, scratch that. It's hard to book with them. Just come directly to me for follow-ups. No drinking or seeing other women while you're recovering. And about what I said yesterday, you can hold me to it any time. I stared at her message, stunned. A flood of messages filled my phone, and I couldn't help but smirk. It seemed like this young master might finally be off the market. Stay calm, I told myself. Stay calm. I couldn't let anything as embarrassing as yesterday happen again. I quickly typed a reply. "Doctor, Vicky, thank you for yesterday." After hitting send, I locked my screen and tossed my phone far away, as if keeping it out of reach would prevent me from doing anything foolish. On the other side of the screen, Victoria stared at the single message she had received. She refreshed her inbox over and over again, doubting the hospital's Wi-Fi. Then she switched to mobile data, but still, only that one message appeared. Did I say something wrong earlier? She wondered. Or is he losing interest? She scrolled back through their previous messages, meticulously rereading every word. Finally, she sent another message. I didn't mean to order you around. I just didn't want you drinking and aggravating your injury. Are you feeling unwell? Should you get another checkup? Anyway, don't let what happened yesterday bother you, I don't mind. When I saw Victoria's string of messages, I replied with a simple question mark. She immediately shot back, "You're a bit quiet today, aren't you?" I couldn't help but chuckle. "A little tipsy," I replied. "I'm actively avoiding addiction." She asked, "Tipsy from what?" "Take a guess," I wrote back. And just like that, for the first time, the brilliant Dr. Vicky was stumped by a question. What exactly was I tipsy from? 2 days later, I managed to secure an appointment with one of the senior doctors. During the visit, I learned that he usually didn't handle minor procedures like stitches. But because his work left no scars, Victoria had specifically asked him to suture my wound. Hearing this, a warm feeling spread through my chest. I messaged Victoria to let her know I was coming in for a follow-up appointment, and wondered if she'd be surprised to see me. With a spring in my step, I headed to her office. As I passed the nurse's station, I overheard 2 nurses chatting about Victoria's boyfriend. "Why is she telling everyone before they're even officially together?" one nurse said. I pricked up my ears, curious if they were talking about me. "You've seen them, right? Dr. Vicky and her boyfriend, they're such a perfect match," the other nurse replied. "Totally. And do you think it's because Dr. Vicky works here that her boyfriend transferred his dad to this hospital?" My smile froze. My heart skipped a beat. Whose dad? What's going on? Surely they weren't talking about me. Did Victoria already have a boyfriend? Trying to keep my composure, I asked the nurses, "Hi, I just heard you mention Victoria's boyfriend. Is that true?" They looked at me with pity, clearly aware of how much effort I had been putting into wooing Victoria. One of them hesitated before saying, "Yes, we're pretty sure it's her boyfriend. He just dropped off some fruit to thank us for taking care of her." Hearing this, I felt half relieved. Ha! He's just like I used to be, claiming to be her boyfriend. As long as Victoria hadn't confirmed it, I wasn't going to give up so easily. Fixing my hair, I headed to her office first, before finally finding her in a patient's room. I was already planning how to tease her when I saw a tall, lean man standing close to her, his arm draped around her shoulders. He sighed and said, "Dad, don't worry about the surgery. This hospital has some of the best doctors around. You need to get better so Victoria and I can start planning our wedding. You've got to stay healthy." My mind went blank. Victoria was getting married? This had to be a misunderstanding. Definitely a misunderstanding. She hadn't said anything yet. But the next moment, Victoria's response crushed me completely. "Uncle, don't worry. I'll take good care of you. And Ethan, you can relax too," she said. My breath caught, my chest tightening painfully. As they turned and walked out, I stumbled, trying to avoid them, but I tripped over the door frame. Ignoring the pain in my foot, I limped away as fast as I could. Once I was out of the room, the burning pain in my ankle became unbearable. I took off my shoe and saw that my ankle was bright red and swollen. The emotional pain surged back, and I crouched in the hallway, fists clenched, my face contorted in anguish. "Damn you, Victoria. You had a boyfriend all along and still toyed with my feelings." Suddenly, a small voice interrupted my thoughts. "Big brother, are you pooping?" Startled, I looked up to see a little girl peeking at me from behind a corner. "No." I quickly stood and moved to sit on a nearby bench. She climbed up beside me with a little grunt, swinging her legs as she asked, "You weren't pooping? Are you sick? You look like you're in pain. Is your tummy upset?" I stared at her bald little head, my throat feeling tight. "No, it's just my foot." "It hurts a bit," I said. She reached into her pocket, rummaging around before pulling out a slightly melted lollipop. "Here," she said. "Dr. Vicky says sweets make everything better." "Thank you," I said, taking the candy as a warmth spread through my chest. She patted my hand with her tiny one and said, "No, I should be thanking you. My mom said that without you, I wouldn't have been able to have my surgery." I froze, my heart melting a little at her words. Glancing at her hospital bracelet, I noticed her name, Hope. "Thank you isn't necessary. I said softly. Once your surgery is done, let's watch the fireworks together, okay? Okay, she replied enthusiastically, extending her hand for a pinky promise. See you later, big brother. See you later, Dr. Vicky, she said as she skipped away. My body stiffened as the scene from just moments ago replayed in my mind. Without looking back, I limped forward. Victoria called out, "Sincere, what happened to your leg?" "It's nothing. Don't trouble yourself," I replied, quickening my pace despite the pain twisting my face. Suddenly, a sigh sounded from behind me. Victoria hurried to catch up and stood in front of me. "Doesn't it hurt? Still trying to act tough? I'm sorry, I missed your message earlier. Let me take a look at your leg, okay?" she said gently with a hint of pretense. How could I have been so blind before? "No need," I said coldly. "Dr. Vicky, you should spend your time caring for your patients instead of wasting it on someone as insignificant as me. Sincere, I really was seeing a very important patient just now," she explained, grabbing my hand in a slight plea. It was urgent. How could it not be urgent when it involved my father-in-law? "Dr. Vicky, please move aside," I said, struggling to leave, but she caught hold of my arm and supported me. Before I knew it, I was leaning on her shoulder in front of everyone, with her guiding me forward. Her actions drew the attention of many people, and though her gaze was steady, her flushed face and neck betrayed her embarrassment. "Victoria, let go of me," I said. "No, you'll fall," she replied firmly. "Dr. Vicky, let go. This is not good for your reputation," my tone turning even colder. She snorted. "If you keep shouting, the whole hospital will know about us." "About us?" I questioned, confused. "What's there between us?" Her face grew even redder. "I like you. What else could there be?" she confessed. My mind went blank. If it had been before, I would have been ecstatic and announced it to the whole hospital. But now, all I could do was laugh at the irony. Just as I was about to retort, I caught sight of the lollipop sticking out of Victoria's pocket and thought of the girl I'd seen earlier. Maybe I should talk to her directly and clear things up. With a mischievous smirk, I tightened my grip on her shoulder and pulled her head closer to rest against mine. Her face turned an even deeper shade of red, which only fueled my annoyance. "Victoria, let go. We need to talk," I said. I was genuinely worried about parading around the hospital like this. If that man really was her boyfriend, his father would be furious seeing us like this. Seeing my determination, Victoria finally led me back to her office. She helped me ice my foot, placing it on her lap. Her head bowed slightly, her long hair framing her face, blurring her features but not her focused expression. "Victoria," I began, "I heard everything." "It's all rumors," she said. "Don't pay attention to them, but honestly it's only a matter of time." Her words made me retract my foot immediately. Gritting my teeth, I asked, "So you're really getting married?" She froze, shock flashing in her eyes. "Are you proposing to me? Isn't this a bit too fast?" she asked, deep in thought. After a moment, she looked at me seriously and asked, "Have you thought this through? Shouldn't we date first?" My mind was a mess, unable to process her words. Seeing my silence, she, seemingly afraid I'd change my mind, quickly added, I'm in. Let's meet each other's parents, get the marriage license, and then plan the wedding. I'll finish the surgeries I have scheduled and take my vacation. We can be married in 2 months. Listening to her meticulously laid out plans, I couldn't help but interrupt. "Victoria, bigamy is illegal." She froze, blinking in confusion. "I'm only marrying you. How would it be bigamy?" "Victoria, I never thought you'd be this kind of person," I said. "You just promised that man's father you'd marry his son, and now you want a shotgun wedding with me. Who are you lying to, him or me?" She frowned. "What man? What bigamy? Sincere, I've never lied to you. The only person I've ever liked is you. If I get married, it'll only ever be to you." Victoria was so flustered she started speaking incoherently. I replied, "Just now in the hospital room, there was a man holding you, saying you two were getting married. I heard it all." The more I spoke, the angrier I became, my voice trembling with rage. "No, that's not true," she said, standing up abruptly, her hand hovering in the air, unsure whether to reach for me. "That was my classmate." His father didn't want to undergo surgery, so he asked me to help convince him. I don't know why he leaned in like that. His father's condition is critical, and I was afraid denying it outright would upset the patient. But as soon as I left the room, I cleared things up with him. Sincere, please believe me. My heart raced as I struggled to respond. Seeing my hesitation, Victoria, looking pitiful, said, "If I'm lying to you, I'll—" Before she could finish, I stood up, cupped her face, and kissed her. Her eyes widened and she froze in place. "I believe you. I'm sorry, I misunderstood," I said. Her face turned crimson as she stood there, completely flustered. You. How could you?" She stammered slightly. My thoughts raced, and I immediately pinned her against the wall and kissed her again. Her flushed face was so close, radiating heat, and her heartbeat seemed loud enough to drown me. Victoria shyly covered her face, blinked, and said, "You kissed me. Now you have to take responsibility." I responded earnestly, enunciating each word. "Responsibility? I'll take full responsibility." "Good. As long as there's no bone damage," Victoria said, glancing at my x-rays with relief. Meanwhile, I looked around the room, my gaze suddenly landing on the doctor's profile hanging by the door. I exclaimed, "Miss Tina, you and Victoria share the exact same birthday. What a coincidence." It was just small talk, but out of nowhere, Victoria asked about my injured foot. She turned to Tina and asked, "Tina, is my boyfriend's injury going to be okay?" Tina looked confused and replied, "Didn't you just make the diagnosis yourself?" Clearing her throat awkwardly, Victoria said, "I just wanted to double-check." She then helped me out of the room under Tina's puzzled gaze. The moment we entered her office, Victoria wrapped her arms around my neck. Her eyes were red, and she looked a little aggrieved as she said, "Sincere, Tina has a boyfriend, you know." Exasperated, I replied, "What does her relationship status have to do with me?" She pouted and said, "I heard everything. You only like me because of that fortune teller. And now Tina shares the same birthday as me. What if you end up liking her too?" I couldn't help but laugh at her sudden outburst. So her recent shift in attitude toward me was because of this? I gently took her hand, patiently explaining, "Victoria, it's true that the fortune teller played a small role in my initial pursuit of you. But during our time together at the hospital, I came to see how you light up every room you walk into. Your every gesture stirs something in me. I like you, not because of some fortune teller, but because my feelings for you are real and from the heart." Hearing this, her eyes sparkled even brighter. She stood on her tiptoes and kissed me. "Good, that's all I needed to hear," she whispered. When I took Victoria home, I leaned in close and whispered in her ear, "Miss Victoria, so what's our relationship now?" She smiled and said, "The kind you're thinking of." I teased, "And what kind is that exactly?" I brushed my fingers against her cheek, making her blush. She softly replied, "Boyfriend and girlfriend." Smiling, I said, "Then, Dr. Vicky, when you said I could do anything I wanted last time, did you mean it?" My hand deliberately grazed her lips, my tone suggestive. Victoria froze for a moment, her gaze heating up. She bit her lip softly and with a husky voice said, "Sincere, stop that. You're still injured." I replied, "It's just a twisted ankle. It doesn't affect my performance." I smirked as my fingers trailed downward inch by inch. Finally, Victoria gave in. The usually gentle and composed Victoria was completely unrestrained in bed. Good news, I made it to her thighs. Bad news, my back was done for. On our wedding day, I bought a copy of the Book of Answers. My question was, how should we spend our wedding night? When I saw the book's answer, my first instinct was to flee. Since when is keep going non-stop a reasonable response? After that night, I blocked the fortune teller right in front of Victoria. I swore I'd never believe in such things again. I even advised her to stop relying on them too. It was the annual class reunion, and I needed to make a good impression in front of my ex-girlfriend, Chloe Miller. So, I splurged a whole $30 to rent a girlfriend online to bring along. The profile promised fair skin, stunning looks, long legs, someone who could be cute, sweet, or sassy. Full of anticipation, I waited by the hotel entrance. Then a Maserati pulled up. Next second, a leg that seemed longer than my lifespan emerged from the driver's seat. A cool, somewhat familiar voice asked, "Are you the one who rented a contract girlfriend?" I looked up. Holy crap, wasn't that my merciless she-devil boss, Victoria Ashworth? Recognizing her, I instinctively took a step back and straightened my posture. Ms. Ashworth, don't tell me you're the wild rose from the site, the one who's cute, sweet, or sassy. That screen name was what hooked me. I figured anyone with a name like that had to be beautiful. I wasn't wrong, she was definitely a stunner. Just excessively stunning. She took off her sunglasses haughtily, giving me a dismissive glance. What? Are you dissatisfied? Dissatisfied? How could I dare be? Even with 10 times the courage, I wouldn't dare shake my head. I could only nod frantically. Of course, not renting a girlfriend as heavenly as CEO Ashworth is the luck of 8 lifetimes. How could I possibly be dissatisfied? Mentally, I was cursing up a storm, but my face wore an unwavering grin. When it came to sucking up to the boss, if I ranked second, no one dared claim first. Victoria Ashworth gave a satisfied, cold humph and said no more. To prevent online fraud, that platform verified all employer information. Everything from ID numbers down to height and weight was real. Aside from the heavily edited profile picture, it was all legit. So Victoria knew from the start that I was the one hiring her. My face instantly burned. Renting a girlfriend to save face only to end up renting my own boss? How is that different from sunbathing naked? Just as I was debating whether to cancel the order, Victoria strode into the hotel lobby. "Hurry up! We're going to be late." So unprofessional. "Is this how you treat an employer?" I gritted my teeth resentfully, then scurried after her. "Ms. Ashworth, please slow down. Watch the steps. Here, let me carry your bag." This damned corporate drone conditioning forced me to submit beneath her high heels. This reunion was for our senior year high school classmates. My ex-girlfriend, Chloe, was the girl I had a crush on for all 3 years of high school. After a year of long-distance dating, she dumped me early in our sophomore year of university, just because she claimed I couldn't afford to buy her a Hermes bag. Renting a girlfriend this time was specifically to put on a show for her. The second Victoria and I entered the private room, Chloe's eyes scanned over. "Long time no see, Sincere Sterling." "And this is?" I hesitated, wondering if I should give Victoria a fake name, but she stepped forward from behind me and introduced herself. "Hello, everyone. I'm Sincere's girlfriend, Victoria Ashworth." Chloe looked skeptical and joked, "And no way. What do you see in him?" I glanced back at Victoria, clad head to toe in custom designer brands. Any single item she wore cost more than my salary for half a year. Standing next to her, I definitely looked out of place, but she just smiled. "Auntie's great." When Victoria said those 2 words, "Auntie's great," slowly yet with such weight and seriousness, my heart skipped a beat, and my face flushed red all the way to my ears. Having been together before, Chloe quickly noticed my unusual reaction. She sneered, looking us both up and down, then said sarcastically, "Oh, a broke loser like you, with no car and no house. What girl would be blind enough to fall for you? Sis girlfriend of yours. You probably paid for her, right?" Wow, she guessed right. I subconsciously clenched my fists, thinking, worst case scenario, I'll just burn it all down. Unexpectedly, Victoria calmly put down her chopsticks, took my hand, and gently intertwined our fingers. The whole table stared, stunned, including me, of course. "What?" Victoria raised an eyebrow. "Do I look like someone people can afford to hire? Draped in high-end designer clothes?" She certainly didn't look like someone I could afford. But the truth was, it only cost me 30%. Oh wait, after the first-time user discount, the actual payment was only 28. Suppressing goosebumps all over, I forced a laugh to smooth things over. "Seta ha ha, we're all single here. Let's not rub it in with public displays of affection." It's not cool. Who could understand this? Holding hands with your top boss, it's enough to give you a heart attack. Thanks to Victoria's superb acting, no one doubted me anymore. Even Chloe kept stealing glances at me, trying to subtly inquire about my current financial status, which I vaguely brushed off each time. Class reunions are basically just big comparison contests. While everyone else was showing off their city apartments and newly bought cars, Victoria slapped her Maserati key fob down on the table in front of me with a clack. "The car you asked me to take in for service? Just got it back today. Tank's full." Silence fell instantly. Chloe in particular stared at me with eyes gleaming, making my skin crawl. I swallowed hard. This act was definitely over the top, but damn, it felt good. Truly worthy of the she-devil boss, quiet usually, but stunning when she makes a move. With Victoria's divine intervention, my back straightened bit by bit amidst the chorus of compliments. After the gathering ended, I said goodbye to my classmates and forced myself into Victoria's car. "And Ms. Ashworth, thank you so much for today. If it weren't for you, I don't know how badly they would have torn me down." Victoria drove quietly, acknowledging me with a non-committal mmm. The atmosphere in the car instantly froze. I didn't dare strike up another conversation, awkwardly shutting my mouth, planning to ask her to drop me off at some random intersection soon. Seeing my boss during work hours was stressful enough. I didn't want the pressure after hours too. Renting a fake girlfriend for a class reunion just to see your ex. Do you care about her that much? Her sudden question caught me off guard. Huh? What did she mean? Did she misunderstand something? I quickly explained, of course not. A good man doesn't go back to an old flame. There's nothing to care about. I was just trying to protect my pitifully small amount of dignity, but I didn't dare say that. A rare smile touched Victoria's lips. She seemed satisfied with my answer. I breathed a small sigh of relief, feeling a bit bolder. "Miss Ashworth, are you perhaps facing some difficulties recently?" The implication being, only someone bored out of their mind would take up jobs like being a rental girlfriend, right? Victoria gave me a cool glance. Short on cash." "Me? Short on cash?" "Yes, short on cash. So there's a long-term rental task coming up. You should continue renting me." Me. In the end, under the coercion and enticement of the capitalist, I tearfully renewed the she-devil boss's rental on the platform for another month. $450, half a month's salary gone in the blink of an eye. As payback, Victoria promised to approve my expense report that had been stuck for nearly a month. The Maserati sped along. By the time I got out, I was drenched in cold sweat. That feeling of having your bank account emptied chills you more than a draft. After showering, my phone chimed a notification that my expense report on DingTalk had been approved. Then came a threatening message from Victoria. "If a second person finds out about this, you'll face the consequences." The CEO of a respectable company moonlighting as an online rental girlfriend. It certainly wouldn't sound good if it got out. It was just my bad luck to rent this particular she-devil. Oh heavens, doesn't time take everything away? Couldn't it just take away my poverty first so I wouldn't have to endure such exploitation? Damn capitalists wiping my hair with a towel. I gritted my teeth and replied, "I intended to type okay, boss." But my cursed T9 input seemed to have a sudden glitch. The perfectly fine "okay, boss" turned into "tay, honey." I jumped in fright and quickly hit retract. Then I retyped, "Typo just now. I meant to say okay, boss." Hit send, and looked closely. Oh dear Lord, the stupid input messed up again. The sentence now read, "Typo just now. I meant to sleep with you, honey." My vision went black. I frantically fumbled to retract it again, but accidentally hit delete instead. My suspended heart finally died. To survive a few more days, I gritted my teeth and sent a long string of emojis, trying to bury the evidence. If the she-devil asked, I'd just say I fell asleep and accidentally hit the wrong keys. Yes, that's right, that's the explanation. She must have been annoyed by my emoji barrage because a call came through immediately. Do you realize what kind of behavior it is to harass your female boss with messages late at night? I was on the verge of tears, needing another round of serious butt-kissing to smooth the she-devil's ruffled feathers. The matter was finally brutally settled with a 0.2% deduction from my performance score. Damn capitalists, always finding ways to squeeze and exploit basic laborers like me. The next day at the company, the department announced the work assignments for the new quarter. Victoria directly threw the most important project plan at me, making the department manager, Mr. Harrison, stumble in shock. "This won't do. CEO Ashworth's sincere Sterling has never handled a project alone. How can he suddenly take on such a big task? One I need died should be given to Ethan." Victoria coolly raised her eyes, her brow slightly furrowed. "Are you telling me how to do my job?" Mr. Harrison immediately shut up, not daring to say another word. Ethan Yang in the department was his nephew. Whenever there was a big project, a manager would overtly or covertly assign it to Ethan, leaving me to just assist. Victoria's move was, in a way, getting back at him for me. I secretly wondered, why was this she-devil suddenly being so kind? Was it so I could earn money and rent her for a few more months? Regardless, as soon as the project task landed in my hands, I dove headfirst into work, developing plans and proposals day and night. Finally, a week later, I successfully secured the contract for the project. Along with the project bonus, Victoria also promoted me to assistant manager, skipping the usual steps. This sudden surprise came completely out of the blue. Gossip started swirling around the office, and soon rumors about Victoria and me began to spread. Some said I had hooked up with CEO Ashworth long ago and used connections to get the promotion. Others claimed my recent panda eyes were from being completely drained by her and that I'd soon be discarded. It annoyed me so much I went to the bathroom and stared at myself in the mirror for ages. If I had known that pulling several all-nighters for the proposal would make me look this haggard, I would have cherished my life and avoided overtime. Then I wouldn't be insulted by these rumors. But no matter what the rumors said, Victoria never offered a single word of explanation. Since she didn't explain, I certainly couldn't protest my innocence too much, so I just plugged my nose and pretended I heard nothing. The following days were uneventful. Aside from my ex-girlfriend Chloe constantly harassing me with calls and texts, Victoria and I had minimal interaction. The company hired some new interns. A recent graduate named Tina Bell was particularly cheerful and followed me around constantly. Even Tanya Tang from the finance department often sent flirtatious glances my way, expressing interest. After being single for so many years based purely on skill, suddenly I had two admirers. Just when I thought I was about to truly escape singledom, Victoria issued a personnel transfer order, moving both intern Tina and finance's Tanya to headquarters. She brutally cut off my budding chance at a beautiful relationship. I sulked for 2 days, then called up a group of friends for drinks. My bros, each a seasoned veteran of the dating scene, immediately pinpointed the issue. "Bro, did a donkey kick you in the head?" Mike asked. "It's obvious your boss likes you. How can you not see that?" I was stunned. Victoria liked me? Impossible, I instinctively denied. I'm just a poor working stiff. How could she possibly like me? Mike kicked me lightly in frustration, laying out his analysis. "She's a company CEO. Do you really think she'd do online gig work because she needs money? And she definitely did it because of you. Moving those 2 female colleagues away from you might seem like it's aimed at you, but it's probably because she was jealous. You're too close to see it clearly, bro. An outsider sees the whole picture." It took me a while to digest those few sentences, a faint glimmer of joy rising in my heart. But if she really liked me, why hadn't she ever said anything? I actually knew Victoria back in my sophomore year of university. She was a year below me. As an outstanding student representative, she performed on stage. Her rendition of Cindy Wang's and curved eyelashes drove countless guys wild, including me, naturally. Later, I heard she was a wealthy heiress beautiful, with a great family background, a true goddess-level figure with countless high-quality suitors. So, I suppressed the budding feelings. I never expected that a job opportunity years after graduation would accidentally make me Victoria's subordinate. Now she was the high and mighty CEO, and I was just a poor guy struggling daily to save for a car and house. Yet the girlfriend rental incident brought us together again, especially at this moment, knowing she might actually like me. That crush from my youth irrepressibly took root and sprouted once more. I think I was falling for her. Carelessly, I had a few too many drinks. Once the alcohol hit, I stumbled alone to Victoria's front door and started banging on it. Clonk, clonk, clonk. Instead of sleeping late at night, you come harass your boss. Sincere Sterling, you've grown some balls, haven't you? Victoria opened the door, leaning lazily against the frame, watching me. She wore a satin silk pajama set, her every move exuding a seductive, relaxed charm. Fueled by alcohol, I found some inexplicable courage, burst in, and pushed her onto the sofa. Yeah, I came looking for you. So what? Tell me, that intern Tina and Tanya from finance, did you deliberately transfer them? Caught off guard by my push, Victoria let her pajama top slip off one shoulder, revealing smooth skin. Hearing my question, her tone turned displeased. Yes, I transferred them. You have a problem with that? Of course I have a problem. I stumbled, nearly falling off the sofa. She reached out to steady me. The next second, I was looking down at her. Our eyes met, and the darkness and emotion in her gaze could no longer be hidden. Victoria, people have mouths to speak. I reached out and gently pinched her lips. They felt soft, looked sweet. She froze for a second. So? I stared intently into her eyes. So? Is it that hard to admit you like me? Victoria didn't speak, just kept looking straight at me. The air around us suddenly heated up, our breaths slowly intertwining. Just as I was about to lean in for a kiss, my head spun violently. My neck gave way, and I passed out. Before losing consciousness, I didn't hear Victoria's answer. As for how I know all this, it's because even drunk, I don't forget things. Waking up, I looked awkwardly and fearfully at the woman calmly making sandwiches in the kitchen. I'm sorry, Miss Ashworth, I drank too much last night. Victoria glanced up at me, her expression unchanged. It's fine. She acted as if nothing had happened, still calm and composed. It's important to know your place. She clearly avoided the question, so I shouldn't dwell on vague speculations. I didn't eat the sandwich on the table. I opened the door and fled. A real man knows when to bend and when to stand tall. A thick skin is just a thick skin. Having figured that out, I threw all my energy into work. Coincidentally, the company was busy with several large projects. As a newly promoted assistant manager, I was genuinely swamped. Being busy helped push the awkwardness of that night to the back of my mind. Even during occasional work handovers and reports with Victoria, she never mentioned it. It was as if nothing had happened, except for my clueless teasing friend Mike. Bro, is there really no hope between you and your CEO? When I received this consoling message, I was pulling an all-nighter on a new proposal. My reply inevitably carried some bite, absolutely none. If you mention her again, I'll curse you to be single forever. He quickly replied, oh hey, don't be so bitter. Do you like older, sophisticated women? I can introduce you to one. I wasn't interested, but replied perfunctorily, where'd you find one? Mike replied, I just got released from prison. Me. Oh heavens, what sins did I commit in a past life to deserve a friend like this tormenting me? On the day of the Mid-Autumn Festival, the entire company had the day off. I prepared gifts early and went back to my hometown to celebrate with my parents, only to be cornered by my gossipy Aunt Martha. Sincere, you've been working in the city for so many years. How come you still haven't bought a house? Your cousin Daniel already owns several properties. I chuckled dryly. Yeah, 360 trades. Every trade breaks the bank, just not the kind of bank that buys a house. My aunt's face stiffened, and she shot me a glare, saying no more. Stories of my cousin Daniel failing spectacularly at every business venture had reached me from home, yet she still brought him up to show off. What was there to brag about? But then Aunt Martha changed tactics, bringing her 2 grandsons over to flaunt them right under my nose. Making more or less money doesn't matter. Look, your cousin's 2 kids are already in elementary school, and you don't even have a girlfriend in sight. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Who was it that said they'd definitely bring a girlfriend home this new year? I couldn't argue, wishing the ground would swallow me whole. Just as Aunt Martha continued her triumphant display of her 2 grandsons, there was a knock at the door. The door opened, and Victoria and I locked eyes. "Ms. Ashworth, what are you doing here?" I was completely stunned, stammering. If I remembered correctly, I never put my parents' address on my company personal information form. "Who is it?" Aunt Martha peered over. Seeing Victoria, she paused too. Before I could figure out how to introduce her, Victoria stepped inside, handed over the gift bag she was carrying, then very naturally linked her arm with mine, intertwining our fingers. She introduced herself. "Hello, I'm Sincere Sterling's girlfriend. My name is Victoria Ashworth." Well, damn. This she-devil was way too dedicated. She'd shown up voluntarily to work overtime. My parents had sharp ears. Busy in the kitchen, they heard her and rushed out.
"Oh my boy, you got a girlfriend and didn't even tell us. If I'd known this dear daughter was coming today, I would have prepared more dishes." My mom, Helen,
pulled Victoria into the living room, grinning from ear to ear. My dad, David, stood beside them, beaming. Aunt Martha, who had just been lecturing me about being single, was now slapped hard in the face by reality, her expression turning awkwardly pale. Watching Victoria sitting on the sofa, looking like a perfectly behaved young lady, my heart pounded uncontrollably for the first time. The palm she had held tightly seemed to retain the faint, lingering scent of her fingertips, scorching hot. It must be a side effect of being single for so long. Otherwise, how could a simple touch make my heart race like this? Before dinner, my mom started bossing me around. "This girl is really nice. You've done well, son, finding such an outstanding girlfriend. You better hold on to her tight. And your name is Victoria, right? The name sounds a lot like that female boss you always mention." She continued muttering as she set the table. "It's all right. Didn't you say your she-devil boss exploits you every day? You can't be too timid. You need to learn to fight back appropriately." I flinched, quickly covering my mom's mouth, instinctively glancing back at Victoria on the sofa. The moment our eyes met, my mind went blank. It's over. Barbecued. Who knows how this she-devil will torture and retaliate against me later. Fortunately, Aunt Martha quickly diverted Victoria's attention, bombarding her with questions. Honestly, seeing my Aunt Martha's expression, I was afraid Victoria might leap up and sidekick her into the Arctic Ocean. But Victoria showed rare patience, answering each question. After lunch, my mom pulled Victoria aside for more chatting. I never expected the usually stern and domineering CEO to be as meek as a lamb in front of my mother. My mom adored her, and promptly gave her a thick red envelope full of cash. "Little Vicky dear, this is your first visit. A little something from Auntie. 1,500, and 1 in 1,500. Auntie hopes you two will last forever, and that you'll marry into our Sterling family soon." Afraid my mom would get too worked up, I quickly made an excuse about needing to run an errand and dragged Victoria out the door. Victoria seemed quite fond of the red envelope, clutching it tightly. I felt exasperated. So her enthusiasm for showing up and performing her duties was all for the red envelope, though the expensive gifts like Mau Tai liquor, abalone, and ginseng she brought probably cost way more than 1,500. All things considered, I wasn't losing out. Besides, she did me a huge favor on a holiday. I had to thank her properly. "Miss Ashworth, to express my gratitude, let me treat you to dinner tonight. I heard there's a hot pot place with great reviews." She gave me a deep look and nodded. Okay. Truthfully, I had no idea if the place was any good. It was just that their 29.99 combo deal was friendlier to my wallet. Because it was a promotional combo, the broth base was fixed spicy. When the hot pot, brimming with red chilies, arrived at the table, I shuddered. I felt constipated just looking at it. Victoria, however, seemed unfazed. Looks like my friend was right about girls loving spicy food. We had barely taken a couple of bites when we ran into Mr. Evans, the business department manager from our company. CEO Ashworth, what a coincidence you're eating here too. He glanced at the bubbling pot on our table, utterly shocked. Butter broth? CEO Ashworth, aren't you allergic to chili peppers? You can't eat spicy food. And maybe you should switch tables? I can order a different broth for you. Victoria shot him a look, and he quickly swallowed the rest of his words, mumbling an excuse before scurrying away. My hand holding chopsticks froze awkwardly in midair. "And Ashworth, why didn't you tell me you can't eat spicy food? Said if I'd known, I would have chosen a different restaurant." Another barbecue place had a couple's combo for only $19.99, much cheaper than Hot Pot. I immediately pulled out my phone, ready to be generous for once, considering the huge favor she did me, and find a new place. But Victoria stopped me. "Don't bother with those group deals. Come with me." Ultimately, she took me to her place. Facing a refrigerator full of ingredients, I was a bit confused. Well, don't expect me to cook, do you? The job application didn't mention culinary skills. Victoria rolled her eyes at me, taking an apron off its hook and tying it on. "Wouldn't dare rely on you. I'm afraid I'd starve." I pouted but didn't dare retort. Knowing this she-devil for years, her words always managed to choke me up. Wearing a cartoon print nightdress, Victoria showed a rare gentleness, a completely different person from her usual self. I had to admit, this woman looking like this was cute with an inexplicable touch of sexiness. Her long, fair legs swayed back and forth before my eyes, dazzling me. "What are you doing? Come over here and help." Only when a sharp reprimand came from above did I snap back to reality, feeling utterly embarrassed and awkward. I had been leering at Victoria's legs. Victoria nonchalantly dropped a comment. "What's there to look at? All bark and no bite." Me. Well said. Please don't say it again. Life felt utterly hopeless. But Victoria's cooking skills were undeniable. The food looked, smelled, and tasted amazing. I accidentally ate until I was stuffed. Yet the flavors felt oddly familiar, as if I had tasted them somewhere before. I thought after dinner Victoria might let me stay a while, maybe have tea, chat, perhaps something might even happen. But the moment the dishes were cleared, she started ushering me out. "You're not asking me to stay a bit longer?" Victoria's tone was flat. "No." I secretly glanced up at her, seeing her exquisite features calm, devoid of any emotion. Right. Maybe she was just habitually dedicated to her duty, doing the job because she was paid. That's why she played the role of girlfriend so perfectly today. Why should I secretly take it seriously? Sighing softly, my heart felt desolate. I ended up going home alone, but after this incident, the relationship between Victoria and me seemed to undergo a subtle shift. For instance, when I mustered the courage to ask her out to dinner again, she agreed instantly. This time, I learned my lesson. I did my research and chose a Western restaurant with a nice ambiance and good food. But not long after we sat down, we encountered my appetite-ruining ex-girlfriend, Chloe. A few days ago, annoyed by her constant pestering, I had blocked all her contact methods. Running into her here was just bad luck. Ajay, what a coincidence. Note, using Sincere's nickname Chloe might use. Since fate brought us together, let's eat together. It's been so long since we had dinner at this place. She completely ignored Victoria sitting across from me and sidled uply. I quickly pulled away, but Victoria beat me to the rejection. "Excuse me, he's busy. Please eat by yourself." Victoria's voice was calm, emotionless. Who knew the woman would throw a tantrum on the spot? She grabbed the coffee cup from the table and splashed it all over Victoria. Dark stains instantly bloomed on the white fitted dress. Who do you think you are? If you hadn't interfered, Ajay and I would definitely be back together by now. I'm his first love. He definitely likes me more. Furious, I pushed her away, shouting publicly for the first time, "Shut up, we broke up a long time ago. Stop being so shameless and clinging to me." And not a garbage barge, don't dump your trash on me. Adapted from, and a perfectly good dinner ruined. Luckily there was a mall downstairs, so I had to take Victoria down to buy a new dress. Chloe, seemingly provoked by something, shamelessly tagged along, impossible to shake off. Fine, let her follow. Come in and help me. Victoria's voice drifted out faintly from the changing room. I wanted to refuse, but Chloe stood there, watching intently. I couldn't lose face, not this time. After a 2-second hesitation, I steeled myself and entered the dressing room. The space was already small, and some inconsiderate salesperson had piled stock inside, making the already cramped room even smaller. Any slight movement risked unintentionally brushing against Victoria's skin, smooth like silk. My face was red the entire time. I barely dared to open my eyes, fumbling blindly to fasten the strap on her back. With such little courage, you dare send harassing messages to a girl late at night? A faint, ambiguous smile played on Victoria's lips. Her words were clearly pointed, referring to the text message incident. My face burned fiery hot, so embarrassed my toes curled. I couldn't even manage an explanation and scrambled out of the dressing room. If I stayed in that confined space with Victoria any longer, I'd genuinely suffocate from lack of oxygen. Or worse, lose control and do something wild. The next day at the office, the atmosphere felt different. I knew this feeling well, some major gossip was brewing. Sure enough, shortly after I sat down at my desk, my colleague Alex scurried over with the latest scoop. Chin GE, turns out our CEO Ashworth is the daughter of the chairman of Apex Group. Using Alex's way of addressing Sincere from the table, news just broke that she's about to get engaged to Lawrence Liu, the heir of Liu Corporation, a real-life tycoon marriage alliance. My head was completely spinning. I couldn't register anything he said after that. Only the news of her impending engagement echoed in my mind. No wonder she never admitted liking me. Turns out, I wasn't even a consideration for her. Extremely agitated, I hid in the break room for a smoke. Halfway through the cigarette, someone pushed the door open. It was Victoria. "Smoking is bad for your health. You should smoke less." I didn't stop, taking a deep drag, looking at her through the slowly rising smoke, my tone casual. Smoking is a personal matter, probably not under the boss's jurisdiction. If anyone should manage it, it's a girlfriend. I stubbed out the cigarette in the ashtray on the table, stood up, and leaned close to her, close enough for our breaths to mingle, as if asking myself, yet also questioning her. "CEO Ashworth, are you managing me now as my boss, or in some other capacity?" My question stunned Victoria. For the first time, she was speechless, blushing and silent. The break room was quiet, so quiet that all senses became hyper-aware, clear enough for me to feel the slight tremble of her eyelashes. Once again, she evaded my question. "That stuff about the Liu Corporation heir, that's real too, isn't it?" The lights weren't on in the break room, only faint light filtered through the gaps in the blinds. Shadows played across her quiet face. She didn't deny it. "So that's the reason you never dared to admit you like me?" A hidden sourness rose in my throat. After an internal struggle, the question finally came out. Victoria's eyes held complex emotions. "It's not what you think." I didn't have the courage to hear more. I stood up, opened the door, and walked out. The moment the door closed, my heart felt instantly hollow. It was laughable, really feeling heartbroken without even being in a relationship. Ultimately, it was just my wishful thinking. In this situation, I honestly didn't have the courage to stay at the company any longer. Thinking back, maybe the subconscious reason I applied to this company in the first place was because of Victoria. I was just slow to realize it. I submitted my resignation via Ding Talk. It was rejected almost the instant I sent it. Furious, I defiantly submitted it again. The next second, Victoria rushed over, dragged me into the pantry. "Sincere Sterling, we need to talk." I struggled slightly but couldn't break free. I didn't dare use force, afraid of hurting her, but my tone remained deliberately firm. "CEO Ashworth, this is the company. Please mind the propriety." Heads were already starting to peek around corners, gossiping. I could only turn sideways, shielding her with my body. Unexpectedly, she suddenly reached up, wrapped her arms around my head, stood on tiptoe, and kissed me. My heart stopped. I instinctively held my breath. In that instant, everyone peeking dropped their jaws, not daring to make a sound. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3. Time seemed to freeze. I don't know when the softness on my lips disappeared. "You." Just as I was about to speak, Victoria covered my mouth, staring into my eyes earnestly. "Sincere Sterling, you were right. People have mouths to speak, and I shouldn't have kept things from you, acting on my own. I shouldn't have been afraid to admit I like you. I can tell you very seriously now, I like you. Ever since I first met you freshman year, I've liked you." "What? Freshman year?" I stood there, utterly dumbfounded, like a wooden chicken. Victoria said she'd been secretly liking me since freshman year? But back then, we had absolutely no interaction. How could she like me? Her eyes sparkled as she looked at me and continued, "Do you remember the girl who used to bring you lunchboxes? During my sophomore year, I jumped into a river to save a drowning stray cat. Later, the girl who had been feeding the strays started bringing me meals frequently as a thank you. Disposable containers, warm food, they were the source of all my happiness for the last 2 years of university. Only that girl never showed her face and refused to tell me her name. I never imagined she was Victoria. Then why didn't you ever tell me?" Understanding the whole story, I couldn't help but give a wry smile. The girl I secretly crushed on back then was also secretly crushing on me? What kind of cliché drama was this? If we had confessed our feelings earlier, my mom's long-held dream of having grandchildren would have been realized long ago. I wouldn't have suffered as a single dog for so many years, and my last French kiss wouldn't have been with a green popsicle this past summer. Victoria's gaze softened, her tone tinged with helplessness. When my dad was forcing me into an arranged marriage, I refused, so 2 years ago I made a bet with him. Since he gave me 3 years to achieve a net profit of $100 million for the branch company. If I completed the task, he would cancel the marriage and support my freedom to date. "So you didn't dare admit you liked me because you were afraid you wouldn't reach the goal?" Victoria nodded, the light in her eyes dimming slightly again. "But we're still nearly 30 million short of the 100 million net profit. In the remaining 5 months, given our branch's current state, it's impossible to achieve. I never dared confess to you because I was afraid of putting you in a difficult position later. I couldn't hold back anymore. I pulled her into my arms, my gaze firm and earnest. Don't worry. We'll overcome this obstacle together. Even if it means going through hell and high water, I will always be by your side." Victoria's eyes instantly reddened. She looked up at me, her eyes full of emotion. Just at this crucial moment, the colleagues who had been eavesdropping all along stepped out in unison, shouting loudly, "CEO Ashworth, don't worry, we'll face this challenge with you too." The air hung still for a few seconds, then erupted in roaring laughter. Through the tireless efforts and countless late nights of the entire branch company, we finally succeeded in reaching the target goal in the last month of the 3-year deadline. My father-in-law, Reginald Ashworth, was a man of his word. He immediately retracted the news of the engagement with whoever it was his family. And I, thanks to my outstanding abilities and handsome appearance, successfully won the favor of my future father-in-law and mother-in-law, Eleanor. Victoria and I finally confirmed our relationship and began living a life free of shame and anxiety. On our wedding night, I suddenly remembered the time I rented a girlfriend online, and somehow ended up renting her. Victoria threw her phone at me, huffing. "You still have the nerve to bring that up?" Why on earth did you have to rent a girlfriend online? It caused me to get harassed by several creepy guys after I registered my account. And you know how scared I was that someone else would snatch you away? I burst out laughing. As I laughed, my eyes reddened. I know. I gently cupped her face and lowered my lips for a deep kiss. Don't worry, I'm yours. No one can ever snatch me away.